Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate, and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. I literally just woke up a few minutes ago. It's the middle of the night, and had a pressing need to just start moving on with my day and make it happen. And suddenly, I'm making a video because the urgency of what's happening in real time on Earth, even though truth is truth and it is timeless, we operate on a schedule here on Earth. We've bought into the story hook, line, and sinker that there is such thing as time, and we are answering to that time component in a real crunchy, brutal way. I mean, not to make light of it, it's amazing to me to think about the radical shifts in consciousness that have been snatched and grabbed and pulled and just backwards, upside down, everywhere, inside out, just in the last 6 months, and holy cow, in the last few days. So any domain that I'm looking at, I see rapid fire changes, rapid fire movement, and a whole lot of chaos, in different energetic fields that I'm looking at. And I can look out into the Earth spectrum and see that it's pretty tight for a lot of folks. There's a lot of things happening because of the major shifts in consciousness that are happening. It's looking like, it's the complete destruction. It's the end of the earth. And oh my God, what are we going to do? It's bringing up the fear. And the fear is the whole point. Whatever we have, whatever story we have relied upon, wherever there are pockets and holes in that shit, it is falling apart right now. And that's the whole point, is for us to find our way through those blockages, those deficits, where's the story pick up? Because suddenly what I thought I believed doesn't have validity anymore. You have a lot of people questioning what they thought they knew a year ago. And God forbid, you have a lot of people questioning what they thought they believed about 300 lifetimes ago, or something, equally as consequential in their mind. That we have people questioning to the core of themselves, places that are requesting review that they didn't even know they had, that they didn't even know existed. There are things that are activating deep wisdom, deep wisdom in people in places where this makes no sense, this doesn't look right. And so shaking up what reality is, one of the ways that best serves to mitigate the effects of shaking up reality, especially when somebody else is doing it, is to look at the logical flow of things and realize that logical flow of things is based on which paradigm you're looking through. The old paradigm of logical flow would be the age of Pisces. We're going to do a lot of duality. We're going to do a lot of good, bad, the journey of good and evil, the battle between, we're going to polarize because this is a polarized system in the age of Pisces. And in the age of Aquarius, it's about collaboration. And so all those places where our story fell down, that somebody was no longer allowed to be in the story, that's where I find mine falls down with stories, is that eventually we all, in my opinion, my best sovereignty is to leave myself right out of the story, meander through until I find the block and say, oh, the logic of this here is that this block is asking me to continue on in a story of division somewhere. The point at which I reach a block and it divides and conquers something, or it pushes someone out, or pushes me above, makes someone below, answers to that old age of Pisces rendering of consciousness. We're not there anymore. We're in the transition phase. So wherever I meet that little bubble in me that can be very uncomfortable, highly uncomfortable, whenever I meet that bubble in me that says, okay, here's the point at which these people no longer deserve, or you're special, you're chosen, and you're the one that deserves more. We can call ourselves whatever we want. We can call ourselves chosen. However, if we are not actively choosing our chosen behavior, then we can give ourselves all kinds of titles that have very vacuous meanings, that are vague and really don't amount to much. Whenever people are questioning, oh my God, I think your title really doesn't mean anything, and I'm gonna have to start looking at the substance of you. And if I have to look at the substance of you, holy shit, I might have to look at the substance of me. That's a lot of inventory for people to do whenever it's chaotic, it's crazy, it's, it feels like the end of the world. And we've subscribed to stories where that in fact is what's happening. The division is the end of the world. Oh no, the thing that I know now, here's the division, is no longer going to happen. It's this way is no longer happening. Therefore, I need to plug in a story. The story immediately takes some of us out, puts some of us in, and starts dividing in whatever story you have subscribed to, the consciousness of greater pull that's asking for your attention, whatever all of that is. That's where those pockets are being asked to investigate this blockage here, because ultimately true sovereignty and true power is in skipping all the stories, bypassing the bullshit, and getting right direct to source, period. Whatever you call the source, I could care less. However, it's the means by which you get there. If it takes a guru that asks you to pay them, if it takes a gatekeeper of some kind, if it takes you must sacrifice, this in order to, and it's for my benefit primarily, but I'm going to tell you that it's yours. If there's anywhere that the power differential between the guru wisdom and you has a price to pay, because the only price that I'm willing to pay at this point, I've lived this, I know and I understand, is the only price that I'm willing to pay is when I come in here and have to deal with the butthurt of my misunderstanding and my choice to give away my sovereignty, or I was bought into a story that now that I am aware, I choose to be less aware of this reality in this way, and I'm going to go this way. But ultimately, the sovereignty is in choosing, period. I choose to be chosen. I choose me to have the greatest good for me, to guarantee the greatest good for everybody. That's the kind of worker I am. And when we really get to those places and stories, if we don't believe that, then that's fine. I personally don't have a problem with it. However, a lot of times we have folks that they get to that part of the story and they want to start reaching out here about how everybody else is wrong. And therein lies the division, yet another illustration of it. Anywhere where we are separated from source, separated from the system, separated from believing that we are in the ocean and we are the ocean. I mean, there's no separation. No part of this operation is outside of itself. It's a whole closed system. You are breathing the same air that Jesus breathed, Buddha, Aristotle, Plato, anybody that you want to believe lived on this planet, whales, woolly mammoths, whatever. You're swimming and drinking and eating and breathing the same basic composite of air, the inhalation and the exhalation that has existed since the breath began in Earth, however many thousands, millions, trillions, dimensions, whatever ago. Whatever you choose to believe in, it was created by a deep inhalation and exhalation from wherever and sourced into eventually the evolution of here we are. And in that story, when we need to narrow down any further, that can cause a lot of blockages, because there's been very deliberate, not just attempt, the absolute completion of the mission of being able to install doubt, install separation, and the manipulation, absolute just foul and awful manipulation of the human mind. Because the more that I keep you busy toiling around, you stay very rooted to me, I stay rooted to you, and when we're in a very parasitic relationship with one another, well, if we aren't both if we aren't both benefiting from that situation, we're both not feeding, we're both not eating. And so the parasitic side, they're enjoying a meal because they're conscious of what they're doing. The one that is on, the feasting, being feasted from, that's the one that usually is a little on the underside of this equation, going, wait a minute, what happens? Because I keep giving into this system. However, what I'm getting out is really, no, this doesn't feel good. And therein lies the imbalance, and therein lies the separation of, I'm better than you, I deserve to suck the resources out of you. And whatever these forces are, whatever story you go with, whatever understanding you have, my broad understanding is that whatever the forces are that drive that kind of parasitic suckling on the, energy and the lifeblood of humanity's suffering, etc., whatever all of that is, it can be bypassed by facing it, addressing it, and absolutely refusing to give it any more power. However, until we're really ready to be embracing the idea and given permission to really run with the idea that, why am I even questioning if something's in my way or not? It's because of all the conditioning. It's because of the manipulation. It's because of the mind control. It's because of all of these programs that are installed by the parenting, by the education, by the money system, by the enslavement of the mind everywhere that it has been. And so enslavement of the mind believes that, I am more important, I'm better, I'm worse, I've put in a qualitative quality to myself and to you. I've put a mile marker of success or failure. And the minute comparative shopping happens, we've lost this game entirely, because this isn't about making comparisons. It is about it is about the relation of things, the causal relationship of things. It is not about the comparison. What am I relative to this and this? What is the relationship between this and this? Not the relationship based on, is it better, is it worse? What is the nature of this relationship? And when we quit trying to compare, comparing is where we get lost in the sauce, because that energy loves to see us toil around, loves to see the opposite side of it, whatever you call it, however it bags up in your world and however it looks in your world. 1111, thank you. It feeds on the frenzy of being good enough, of being acceptable, of trying to deal with the trauma and the drama, 1122, of being violently separated from our source connection. So it likes to see that. And in comparison, that's where that lives, is that person's doing better than me. I deserve to have more. Why should he have that? Why should they get that? I deserve it more because and I'm special, I'm anointed. That's where all of those statements come from. And it isn't that we aren't special or anointed necessarily. It's that unless we understand what we're choosing and what we're saying in making those comparisons, we're really not in a relative relationship with what we're saying and doing. We're in kind of a ignorant bubble and a block, in my humble opinion. That's been my experience anyway with myself, is that the minute I begin feeling myself less than or greater than, I'm in that comparative study, and I need to go back to what is the relative position of what's happening here. Because good and bad are not relative terms unless I use them after I've assessed what that relative position is. I am this in relationship to that. The quality of me being in relationship to that is not questioned to begin with, because that's the comparative study. Am I as good as my boss at doing this job? Well, I'm going to want to really step that into the question of, what relationship do I have with this person? And if they are, for instance, my boss, and there's an actual power dynamic like that, then I can step it into, and what else in my life represents a power differential that is doing this kind of talk with me, that is having this kind of conversation with me? How is that relationship, that causal relationship, looking somewhere else in my life? What is the relative experience I'm having with this? And then we can talk about the quality therein of the experience. There's a lot of steps. However, when we get to the very first one, most of us, if we were honest, we'd be slamming down face first and starting the investigation. However, we don't. We need to, actually, is what I probably really needed to have better said, is that we need to really stop and fall short and turn the conversation internal. However, we don't, because of the panic and the, oh my God, I've reached a thought bubble that feels very uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with, and I don't know how to off-gas this, because I've been given so much information about what I'm worth, what I deserve, what I don't deserve, what I'm special about, what I'm not so special about, who deserves this, and it's all based in subjective stuff that there isn't one theme other than chaos and division. That's the theme. So when we're stuck in that thought bubble with all of that going on, it can be really weird to think about slowing down and saying, how do I come in here and find the unification of any part of that? And it's to start with finding out, what is the relative position of you to me, or this situation to that situation? Where's the power differential? Where is this eating my lunch, and why? And if it's an actual power differential that's clearly stated, start looking for that pattern everywhere else, and then see, where can I put a monkey wrench in this loop of stupidity that's just round and round and round and round? And the minute that you give that loop an opportunity for a break somewhere, you put a monkey wrench in it, you've then given the opportunity for a choice to be made. Until then, we're not understanding that relative to you and me, this is a power differential, and you seem to be, exerting and squirting a little power and influence over me. So I like to move those into a neutral position, especially when they're running me into the wall with very uncomfortable and disquieting thoughts or experiences that just don't feel good. How can I find the neutral spot in this? Is to come back to me for the totality of me, no matter what the chaos is, no matter what's happening out here, no matter what I've ever been told or believed or thought, blah, 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 blah. It's all being challenged. That's the point, is to get people right to those thought bubbles. It's just that most of us are really still going at it the wrong way because we're being given the guidance to do this, to do this, to do this. No, this is the right way. No, this is the right way. I promise for myself that, and I believe for everybody, however, I'm not going to write anybody else's story for them, that, the greatest service that we could ever do for ourselves is to be honest enough to say that the story that is true is the one that I write in front of you. That's the one that's the most true. We will not get to the ability to hold our own pen, however, and script our own story until we are done playing around with the pens we picked up by others, or the ones that have been thrust in our hands, or the ones that we've often karmically been born with, to write some of that shit down and live it out. Now's the time to finish out that chapter by just saying, you know what, this is going to be an incomplete pass, and I'm putting the monkey wrench right in here to this stupid loop of, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm putting my pen down right here, closing this book, burning it, or shelving it, or honoring it for whatever it is, whatever you do, and then entirely move to a whole new writing venue or expression, whatever it is, paintbrush, etc. Pick that up and allow that to be the in the moment story that's being written of your creativity. Because trying to find all of that back there, unless you really truly are going to dig through and look through every little single nattering detail, you won't ever reach the destination. You must look at those nattering details, because the devil is in the details. It literally is. It seems like it's not worth the work. However, when you get that microcosmic with it to say, why is this bothering me so much? And then you source inward to find the answer, you get the purest, most valuable answer that could ever come, because it's not coming from a power differential. It's coming from a source that flows into you from that gravitational pull of what's being drawn into you, which is the truth. After you unload all of the untruth, kind of hard to fit it all in there together, because there's the division between the two. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. I hope that's helpful to you in some way, and I hope that you enjoy your day no matter what part of the day you're in. And remember to get within your skin, because you're divine. It's absolutely gorgeous and totally fine, and doesn't have any problem with the separation. It's our mind, our soul, our spirit, our essence, the zhuzh of us, our cosmic juice, our cosmic seed, our spark of divinity. That is the purest, most divine place. It is the pure place in us. It's just most of us have a million different reasons for believing that it doesn't exist, or that if it ever did, it got tainted and needs to be retrieved through some Where's Waldo process, where we're going to scavenger hunt for the next, keep on waiting for the end date on that. It keeps happening until we're here to the crunch point of, I have a needle, baby, get the work done, or, keep toiling in this very painful cycle. However, the work is to be done and the evolution is happening. So adapt, evolve, whatever it is that we do. However, separating out how you do will make it, no longer allowing yourself to be separated out from yourself will make that process a whole lot easier to do, to come into the unification of you before you can even consider how you might play in with other players. So take care, as I said, and I'll see you again next time. Mwah! Bye, friends.